What is good? Today we are talking about generations because I think we should stop hating our previous generations. Because I don't know about you, but I have had my fair share of moments of hating on Gen Alpha. The iPad kid, iPad babies. You know what I'm talking about. But I've recently been wondering, and I said this a few times in previous videos, but I think it is up to us, Gen Z, or whatever generation you're in, to change this trajectory. Yes. The fact that every previous generation seems to hate on or hate above the other one, it's unnecessary division when we could be working together. Like, sure, maybe a Gen Alpha is an iPad kid or whatever, but they're also the only generation who's experienced the internet for their whole life and don't have any recollection before that. That's us Gen Z too. So we relate to them on that level. Also, I gotta say, their memes, hit or miss, but the 6-7, I don't know how that has gone mainstream. Maybe that was Gen Alpha. No, I don't know. I think that's definitely more Gen Z. But like, apparently kindergartners are doing it, and at the same time, people in college doing it. So there are things that do connect generations. But what I find we too often do is we just stereotype people, and then now we're not working together. So I've had ChatGPT, I know, the most credible source in the world, give me a list of some pointers I want to go over for myself. And if you want to join me, feel free. I have a midterm tomorrow, so this is why it's kind of rushed. Forgive me for that. So the first point I have here is, let's see. Oh, this is awesome. We can bridge the gap. This is how we are going to fix this problem, which is literally what I wanted to do. The first point is assume positive intent / curiosity. So instead of assuming, oh, there must be bad because of this, let's see what it says. If someone older or younger does something strange, ask why instead of judging. Snaps for ChatGPT. But that's also hard at the same time because millennials will do really weird things online. No offense. Little offense. That just catch us off guard as Gen Z or maybe even Gen Alpha because we aren't like, this makes no sense to us. But then we do things that catch Gen X off guard. They're like, well, that's really weird. So we need to have patience. That's a pretty important part. Very important point. Learn the slang, learn the language. I think that's also very important. And I think Gen Z is doing a pretty good job so far with keeping up with Gen Alpha slang. Because it's actually, I don't know. There's some oddballs out there I probably don't know about. But if you don't understand a generation's slang, then it might be a little bit harder to understand what they're saying. So I feel like that also is a valid point. So we could also be translators, that we spend the time figuring out this generation and understanding them so that when our fellow brothers and sisters of our generation are like, yo, presumptions, assuming, hey, you're this because of this, or like, oh, these kids or these unks, whatever, you're already prejudging them. I think we need to learn to refrain from that and be able to translate, hey, no, they're just trying to get to the same point. For instance, think of Gen X, for instance, really started the movement of work-life balance. And millennials took that up and were like, yeah, I'm only working for a purpose. Now, Gen Z, I think statistics show something along the lines of, and do not quote me on this, that we are wanting to work, but we also want to have control of our time. We value our time more than ever. But at the same time, I'm starting to see a rise of workaholics, but I don't think it's as big of a problem as people may presume. Because I've been on the hustle culture side of YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. But the thing is I don't think what's going on in that world is actually translating to a vast majority of Gen Z people. Maybe there are some ideas that are being formed, but I don't think hustle culture is taking over as much as I originally thought. Also, it's not the best long term. And I do think we value our time a lot more. It's why you wouldn't work unfair hours because, 5 o'clock hits. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm clocking out. You had my time. Now it's my time. Interesting thoughts. I think we also need to start focusing more on value instead of age. Figuring out how can we mentor these younger people? Because as parents, we just get to choose how we want to mess up our kids. We don't necessarily save them from, I mean, we can. We could save them from like certain traumas, but every kid is going to come out with some sort of trauma. Maybe not as extreme as others, hopefully not as extreme, but everyone gets messed up as a kid, and then it's up for them to kind of just figure it out from there. So how can we as a generation better serve the younger ones? How can we be there for their problems and their setbacks, that we may be there and help them, encourage them, and guide them in the right path? Because I don't know, actually I need to do more research. I heard millennial parents are a lot more like free, like just do whatever you want, kind of no parenting, which could probably turn for the worst considering the stuff you can find on the internet. I also think this would be interesting to mix a room with multiple generations and just talk and just see how do you guys relate, because I mean, you all have some sort of story, so there's something in common, I'm sure. And then finally, least but not least, we just need to be empathetic. We need to understand, you know what, they're going through some stuff I don't really understand, but if we take the time to sit and consider what a Gen Alpha is doing and how they experience the world, and same with a Gen X or a millennial or whatever, that I think we could make a huge shift. And one thing I want to say before the end of this video, looking forward to seeing how Gen Alpha does in the work market. That's going to be interesting. Can't wait to hear those stats. All for today. I appreciate you staying to the end. Forgive me. I would normally put more thought and effort into these videos, but the problem is I have a midterm tomorrow and I got to lock in, and this actually is me procrastinating in a way. But I had to post a video, so we're okay. We are good for today. And I hope you have an amazing day, and Godspeed.